Because you think about 10 years from now, where will you be? What will you be doing? Now, whenever I close the door, I think, oh, is this the last time I'll ever have a chance to do whatever that thing was? You know what I do when the door closes? What's that? I jump out the window.
I'd like to open up an account.
Well, great. What type of account do you have in mind?
This kind.
Watch The Old Man and the Gun tonight on digital.
Step on it.
Robert Redford is now nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Actor.
Spent his whole life locked up, except for the times that he broke out.
The entire ensemble cast is extraordinary.
Old guy with a gun. It's just kind of a funny story.
Welcome back to Should You Watch This with the Popcorn Priest. Joining me today is Angry Dane. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
2 times.
Second time's the third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm.
What's the second time? They don't have a thing for that.
It's better than the first, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And SNL, when do you get alumni status? Is it 5? Do you have to be on the show 5 times?
Like host it 5 times?
Yeah, I mean the host, yeah.
I don't know. They had a skit, though, where they all got a jacket, right? If they'd hosted so many times. There was a club.
Do they really get a jacket?
There's a sketch where supposedly there's a club where they get a jacket.
Well, you're not there yet,
Nope.
Angry Dane.
Nope.
But you're getting there.
I'm working on it.
So, like I said, we are reviewing The Old Man and the Gun from 2018. The description is based on the true story of Forrest Tucker and his audacious escape from San Quentin at the age of 70 to an unprecedented string of heists that confounded authorities and enchanted the public. Directed by David Lowery. Other movies that David Lowery directed were Pete's Dragon from 2016.
Is that a Bad Boys reference you're doing there?
Yes.
Okay.
Mike Lowry.
Just wanted to check.
Pete's Dragon for 2016 and upcoming films as The Green Knight, which looks crazy if you haven't seen the trailer. It was supposed to come out this year, but this year's been a rough one for the movie industry. But you should look it up. It's like horror, fantasy.
NIGHT.
Yeah,
Green
Knight. Like
okay.
Yes.
All
like
right.
it looks like medieval, but it's also like weird fantasy. It's a trip. But I'm excited to hopefully see that when it comes out. Anyway, The Green Knight, and then another one that was on his IMDb page was Peter Pan and Wendy. So we'll see what that is. Top billed stars: Robert Redford, Casey Affleck, Sissy Spacek, Danny Glover, Tom Waits. Is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. And Tika Sumpter, who we found out was the
Sonic the Hedgehog
mom from
which I never saw, but Seth recognized her from that, I think, right?
That is correct. Yeah, I didn't recognize her. And then last but not least, John David Washington, who when we saw the trailer, you're like, "Oh, that's the guy from Tenet." And I'm like, "There's no way."
There's your favorite actor because you didn't like his acting in Tenet.
His acting sucks.
And I'm about to sneeze, I think. But anyway.
Sorry, David.
Yeah, I said there's your favorite actor, and you guys, we went back and paused the frame where he shows up.
He doesn't look like himself.
Well, he did to me, obviously. You guys thought I was also in the frame was Casey Affleck, and you're like, I love Casey Affleck, and I'm like, no, dude, from Tenet, because you hated his acting, and both you and Seth, you didn't think it was him.
No,
I don't know how to share.
There's no way we thought it was him, and I was confused because I was really starting to second guess whether I like Casey Affleck, and I'm like, maybe I don't like him, but I really do like him. So that was funny. So also featuring the subpar acting of John David Washington. He's only in it for like 6 seconds.
Yeah, he's not in it for very long.
But I'm sorry, John. I mean, you're probably a nice gentleman, but I didn't like you in 2 movies now that you've acted in. Runtime 1 hour 33 minutes, rated PG-13. Comedy. Okay, I always like to read this. This is from Rotten Tomatoes. The genre says comedy, comma, drama, comma, mystery, and thriller. Do you agree with those 4 options?
I struggle with these. I think you should only allow 3 genres per movie.
Yeah, well,
how many was that?
That's 4.
I think really you should only get 2.
Like, what would you say this is?
I didn't think it was super funny.
No, it was,
I like comedy,
and that's first on the list.
It had amusing moments, but they weren't like comedic. They were like something you'd observe in life that's funny. Like there's one scene where a guy kind of has a monologue that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
but it just seems like a guy who's not trying to be funny telling a story.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have ever called this movie a comedy.
It ends up being amusing, but not like comedic. Like
I didn't laugh like out loud watching this. There were some. Well, I guess I did like twice.
We laughed out loud at that point.
And I laughed like with delight with some of the filming and some like there were some things that were delightful to me, I guess. But no, to me it's not a comedy. It's
not a mystery. It's not like a
it is for some of the characters, but the people, the viewer, there's no mystery for the viewer.
It's a drama,
yes,
and I would say crime. There's some crime elements to it.
I know. Apparently, I don't know what thriller really means, but I didn't find it thrilling. I thought it was interesting.
Nothing's thrilling to Angry Dane these days.
I thought it was. What are the 4 again? Thriller,
comedy, drama, mystery, and thriller.
It's just mostly a drama.
Yeah, I would say mostly drama, dusting of comedy.
Well, there's a dusting of romance in there too.
Yeah, there is.
They didn't even I think it's romance before it's comedy.
Wait, yeah. Well, I would say it should be drama, romance, and some other ingredients that we won't mention.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a long take on Rotten Tomatoes genre description. The rating from IMDb is 6.7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 93% from critics, 62% from the rest of us. Box office haul, $17.8 million. I'm struggling sometimes to find out what the production budget. Again, I didn't do a deep dive, but I wonder how much it cost to make because it only made $17 million, which is sad because you didn't even know it existed.
That's true, but I'm like a father of 4 small children, so there's a lot of things in the world that I'm unaware of right now in my life.
That's true. I was there. I am kind of there.
You're a little bit further
twins.
Along than you're back into the real world a little bit more than me.
Yeah. So where you can watch this right now is, you can rent it anywhere and stream it for like $4, but it's not on any streaming service. So sorry.
Oh, like for free, like included with the subscription?
Yeah, if you had like Amazon or Hulu or whatever.
I think because of the way it was shot, people should go the extra mile and get the Blu-ray, or if it's on 4K Blu-ray, get one of those
1,000%.
Yeah.
It's
very beautiful.
Yeah, it's part of the presentation for sure. We watched it on Blu-ray on a 4K TV, and it looked awesome. So I'm doing something a little different than I normally do. I usually put the should you watch this at the end. Changing things up here, people. We're going to put it right now, and then we're going to talk about the movie afterwards. So here's my top 5 reasons why you should watch this. Angry Dane can chime in anytime you'd like. Number 1, if you like Robert Redford, you should watch this because this is his swan song. He doesn't act again. Technically he does. He has a cameo in Avengers Endgame, but this was his last movie that he acted in. So number 1, so that's number 2. So number 1 and 2 is Robert Redford, and this is his last movie. Those are my top 2. Number 3, if you like movies with great dialogue, this is up your alley. Number 4, if you're in the mood for a solid movie that has great cinematography, since it was shot on Super 16 film, spoiler alert, It looks really cool. And last but not least, you'll appreciate this, Angry Dane. If you're a dad, or you're going to become a dad, or you have a dad, then those are some really great reasons to watch this, because there's some good dad scenes in it that touched my dad heart.
There are some good dad scenes for sure.
Would you add any reasons to watch this?
If you're
or not watch this?
I think everyone should watch it. I think you're especially going to like it. A couple reasons I can think of would be if you're kind of like a film editing geek.
Yeah, which Angry Dane, shout out to, I don't know what your website is, but
angrydane.com.
There you go. He is a film editor and animator, so
the editing was really interesting. These aren't spoilers, right? I can talk about the way it was edited.
We can talk about this before we get into what we thought about it.
It felt, the way they cut it, it reminded me of movies that were cut before nonlinear editing, like on computer systems. The shots were, most of them were really long shots. You didn't have a ton of cuts. And just kind of the staging and stuff to accommodate that was really interesting to see.
Yeah, and they paused. It had this really cool, it was long shot, but then you'd have this slow like pan where the people who were talking would go out of frame, and you would just sit on a landscape or part of the diner or whatever it was, and you would just hear them in the background. It was just kind of cool. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was the first one I noticed. It cut away from the main characters, and then there were like policemen interviewing a witness or something, and they kind of panned over to that, and it highlighted that for just a little bit longer than it would in a movie typically now, and then it cut, the shot was over.
Which is interesting because it only has a runtime of an hour and 33 minutes, so it felt compact, but there was lots of room to breathe, which was, I don't know, it was refreshing to me.
The other thing I was going to say, the last reason to watch it, I was born in like 1980, and so the 80s is a nostalgic thing for me. It felt, the production design, the way it was made, it felt like a movie that was made in the 80s to me. Mm-hmm. And the main character's clothing, his vehicles, the hat he wore, it was very typical stuff that my grandpa would have worn.
You mentioned that when we were watching it.
It was very nostalgic. I don't know if younger viewers will still enjoy it, people who didn't like live through that time or weren't close to living through that time.
For sure.
But those of us who remember that, and obviously people older than me will maybe even appreciate it more, but it's just full of kind of nostalgic vibes. Yeah,
and the I don't know what you call it, the period work,
production design.
Yeah, I mean, when they go into stores or the cars, I mean, you even mentioned the cars don't have sometimes you get these old movies and they have these pristine vehicles that
are like from that year or from like 3 years before.
It's been sitting in some guy's garage and no one's ever driven it, and they pull it out for the movie and then they send it back. These felt like they were used.
And some of them were older, but they looked like they were cars that had been used for 10 years and kind of beat up. And the production design was amazing. And I couldn't believe like the amount of like product packaging and signs, and even like the interiors on some of the buildings. They're in a shopping mall or something at one point. I don't know where that mall is.
It was a wide shot.
It was a really wide shot.
Way out, and it's like very 70s.
That's either a mall that they've never changed or remodeled since it was built, or they had to like go back and retrofit a bunch of stuff in it, because it was amazing.
Yeah, that really helped sell the time that it was supposed to be filmed in. Well, any other thoughts before we jump into the movie? I think those are some really good reasons to watch this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say right now, let's give our rating, because I give it a golden bucket for sure. I think it's just awesome. And I mean, shout out to my wife. I really wish she would have watched this, but she declined. But what would you give it? Your last rating, and you were on the Tenet podcast, and you gave it 4,000 blue diamonds. was your rating scale?
I should have come up with a real rating scale between then and now, but
You can just do a normal, like, out of 4 or out of 5, whatever you want.
it was really, I really liked it a lot. I don't see any glaring issues with it at all.
Who could watch this? Like, what? I mean, I know kids wouldn't appreciate it, but like, could you watch it with like a 13, 14-year-old?
Oh yeah, you could watch it with like
10-year-old,
depending on the
12?
kid,
And if
10,
they would
10 and up, and I even think my daughter. I can't remember. I don't recall all the content if there's stuff there that's maybe too mature for younger kids, but I think my 9-year-old or my 8-year-old would actually be interested in the story and be able to keep her attention.
Yeah, I really like the little inserts of the daughter and the police inspector's kid. I don't know. I think kids would not little kids, but you could watch it with your family.
That was another thing I liked about it. Was it to me? I feel like there were a lot more mainstream popular movies when I was growing up that adults could enjoy and the kids could enjoy. And now I feel like a lot of the movies that target more of an adult audience are all have an R rating, and anything that has like a PG or PG-13 rating is like a comic book movie or
is a spectacle. Like, there's so much stuff going on.
It's just like all CG, and it's not really about the story. It's about the excitement and the effects and everything. This also was nostalgic for me because it reminded me of the types of movies I would sit down and watch with my family as a kid.
Yeah, like on a Sunday night or something.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's probably why it didn't gross as much. I mean, it only made $17 million, which is sad.
Which, I mean, who knows what was released that same weekend, but I'm sure it was competing with some Marvel movie or some animated feature or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a solid movie. I would give it the top rating, whatever the top rating is. However many blue diamonds or stars or golden carrots or...
You give it top notch.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll allow it. So now's the time to go check it out if you want, and then come back and listen to the rest of this, because I mean, we'll spoil a little bit because we want to talk about it, but beep, that's your moment to pop out and come back in. So here's a couple of trivia to get us going here. In an interview he gave Robert Redford during the 2018 Toronto International Film Festival, Robert Redford talked about this comedic film being a good note to end on, since the actor wanted his last acting job to be fun. And again, we talked about it being, there's some comedic elements, but really it's his charisma that make it like funny. It's not ha funny, but you're like smiling a lot.
Would you say Catch Me If You Can is a comedic movie? It's a comedy?
But it's
entertaining in the same way.
Yeah.
Because you have kind of this charismatic character getting away with things, right?
Yeah. You're rooting
wanting
for
to
this,
live his life.
Even though Seth called him an a-hole multiple times, which he kind of is.
Which, if you look at it more objectively, yeah, he is.
He's not a great guy, but Robert Redford is so fun to watch. His act, he's just like the coolest guy, even though he's like 80 or however old he is.
I just want to know if his hair is totally natural.
Yeah, he has a fake mustache that's really bad that he pulls off.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
I want to know what kind of work goes into that hair. If that's natural, that's not fair. I'm a bald, so speaking as a bald.
We're both balds. And
I'm envious.
Seeing an
80-year-old man like that is just not fair.
Maybe he has access to like ointments and creams that
the Illuminati gets it for him.
Yeah, he just gets these gypsy tear ointments that allow him to have hair, and we just eat too much corn syrups.
Maybe he has the same wig person that Raquel Welch has. I don't know.
There you go. So here's another. There are several Easter egg references to Robert Redford's earlier films, including the opening legend which is nearly identical to the one that opens Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid from 1969, which says, "Not that it matters, but most of what follows is true." And then we saw that cool like or swipe where the words slowly disappear. It's pretty cool. And then the scene between Robert and Casey where Affleck runs a finger over the side of his nose, which was the signal in The Sting from 1973 between the con men that they were fellow travelers. Which that scene is amazing. Let's talk about the coolest scenes that you liked in the movie, or I liked too.
The first one that really got me was Tom Waite. This is his name, right?
Yeah, Tom Waite.
And I don't know if he's done a ton of acting, but he was really great in this.
Oh man,
he's a musician.
Maybe
primarily.
he's not acting. Maybe he's just
acting. He's being himself.
He is.
There's this really long. It's just one shot of him telling a story from his childhood.
It's one shot that like zooms in slowly into him. Yeah, it's so awesome.
It's an amazing story. I won't really get into the details, but it's about
why
his
why he hates Christmas.
Yeah, and
the punchline is so great because he's talking about all this other stuff,
and you're like, "Where's this going?"
And he's like, "And that's the reason why I hate Christmas."
That was the first moment in the film that really grabbed me. I'm like, "Oh, this is really good. This is really good."
And you see, I keep wanting to say Donald because of Seth calling Danny Glover Donald Glover, but Danny Glover and Robert Redford, both their reactions aren't like exorbitant, like they're not crazy, but they react like, "Oh, this is fun." That's some genuine reaction. I think.
So badly want to see like a director's commentary, and I want to know if they'd heard him tell the story before that, like if that was the first take, because their reaction seemed subtle but very genuine.
And if they were just sitting there drinking beers and they happened to have the camera on them, or I'm sure they didn't. They're not going to just film something, but it definitely felt like he was just telling a story, which is really cool.
Which I would think from a director's standpoint, if they wanted to get good reactions from his co-stars, maybe they didn't even know what he was going to say.
Yeah.
Maybe he made it up. I don't even know, but it was awesome. And then the other scene that really stands out is... I don't want to know what to call it when they're in the diner. Like,
the confrontation.
Yeah, so Robert Redford's character Forrest, he notices the cop who's trying to find him, who's trying to catch him.
He's a bank robber. Spoiler alert.
The cop who's trying to catch him, played by Casey Affleck, has been on TV and he's been interviewed. So Forrest knows who this guy is.
I mean, he coined the Over the Hill Gang. He called them that, and then Forrest sends him a note on $100 bill like, "Hey, this is from us, and we know you're talking." Like, there's this moment there too.
Yeah, there's some interactions with them where they don't actually see each other. That like he leaves him this money, like the popcorn priest said, and then but Forrest notices this cop in the diner, and the cop spills a little bit of a milkshake on his tie, goes into the bathroom,
which is great.
Yeah, and then Forrest follows him in the bathroom, and it's so awesome. Anyway, they just have this moment where there's kind of like this mutual respect, and there's some great dialogue exchanged.
And I love that it's like it feels like an old diner would, where you have this weird awkward hall where you've got to walk down, and then I think that's the men's room, and then maybe around the corner is something else.
And there's a back exit I think that Forrest goes out of at the end of the conversation.
Yeah, and I love that he smiles at him multiple times, and they're really close, and he like purposely fixes his tie like, "Hey, I gotta help you here." You're not getting
What does he say? He says something about, "It's always good to look your best. Makes people think you know what you're doing, even when you don't know what you're doing."
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, I know what I'm doing, Forrester."
As he's leaving, he's like, "Hey, Forrest, I know what I'm doing." And it's a great scene.
It's really, great. It's really rad. The opening credits are also written in the same font as Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid.
Okay, that's why they're so familiar.
The title font is used awesome. I love the burnt yellow color of it. It's rad. And they use it multiple times. There's even and I would add this to my other favorite scene is that montage of him breaking out of various places.
Oh, that was great.
From like 1 to 16.
That montage and the titles kind of shows you how things used to be in movies. And it also reminded me of all the stuff that Wes Anderson borrows from old movies, like titles and fonts and
the
typefaces. The zoom.
The quick zoom shots that come in and out are really cool.
It was nice. Really fun to watch.
Speaking of film and shooting, it's shot on Super 16. You know more about that than me. Like, what does that mean? Like,
well, it's just, film stock. I was surprised. I thought it would be on 35. I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I think 16 was often used for like TV shows that were shot on film back in the day, and dramatic things for television or indie films. I think still up until,
but not for like feature.
Not big
films.
features. They were usually shot on 35.
Yeah, whatever. I mean,
it looked awesome.
It looked awesome.
And I think it was intentional. Probably with the 16 at that, like projecting at that size, you notice the grain of the film more.
Yes,
it felt like film.
Yeah, you could see it.
Oh yeah,
which is, I don't know. It just was nice. It was a nice touch. It felt like you were watching a movie that was filmed in 1980.
Oh yeah,
which was really cool. During the film, the song Lola by British band The Kinks is played. At the time the film was set, Robert Redford was still married to his first wife, whose name is Lola.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And also, it's about what did you say? I don't remember.
I don't want to be politically incorrect. The song would be, that you couldn't release that song now.
No.
Because it's about a lady man. Yeah. Or a man who is
which is
dressed as a woman, and the protagonist in the song doesn't know that until they have their romantic encounter.
Yeah, and it's like not cool. Like it would be disparaging, and it's not like it. Anyway, there's some Lola. Go look it up. Read the.
Now I'm just worried that I said something insensitive.
We love all peoples.
I love all the people.
We're just reviewing.
I'm just talking
movie.
about a Kinks song.
Yeah,
I didn't write the song. The Kinks did.
We're just talking about movie stuff.
We interrupt this program. Important instructions will follow.
Ever wish you had Benjamin Button's disease of the balls? With the Turf Chopper 2.0 from smoothmyballs.com, you can.
Whoa, what's going on, Harry? Harry's our producer, by the way. What are you talking about, man?
If your balls were the Hunger Games, your girlfriend would stand up and say, I volunteer as tribute.
Really?
Got Dirty Harry saying, go ahead, smooth my balls. Like those smooth balls really tie the room together, man, says the dude.
Hasta la vista, Harry balls.
Got Tony Montana saying, say hello to my smooth balls.
Whoa, wait a second.
Houston, we've got smooth balls. May the smooth balls be with you always. Yippee-ki-yay, mother smooth balls.
Okay, bro, stop. What Harry's trying to say is go to smoothmyballs.com and use promo code popcorn15 to get 15% off your purchase. And maybe, just maybe, he won't do this anymore.
No promises.
Now, let's be real. This is a real product. Smooth My Balls reached out to me. I have used their product. It does work. It is designed for those areas that need a little more sensitive touch. It is a lifestyle choice, so go ahead and reach out to smoothmyballs.com and make sure you use the promo code popcorn15 to get 15% off your purchase. And it helps the show, so you're doing yourself a favor, you're doing your balls a favor, and you're doing the popcorn priest a favor. So go out there and smooth your balls. The real Forrest fucker.
You should leave that in there.
now it's explicit. I didn't mean to say that. The real Forrest Tucker died in prison on May 29th, 2004. And in 1980, how many banks do you think the real Over the Hill gang robbed in 1980?
It's not the same as what they said in the movie.
No.
It was less, I'm assuming.
I mean, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't remember that.
There were a lot, though. I mean,
there was a lot.
They were kind of doing a cross country thing.
Yeah.
I would say like maybe somewhere between 10 and 15.
You are incorrect. 60 banks.
Oh, wow.
Were robbed in just 1 year, 1980, from the real Over the Hill gang. So
Good
put
job.
that in your pipe and smoke it.
Good job, Over the Hill gang.
The last part of this podcast is, and I mean, we don't have to stop, but is the popcorn beefs. I don't have any beefs with this film. Do you have any beefs? Do you have any problems? Things you didn't like?
I'm trying to think. Not really.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's nice.
I think a lot of people might think it's slow.
Yeah.
Because of the pacing of movies now, and it just feels like an old movie.
Yeah, people want,
They want lots of cuts. They want the action to happen fast, and they want more visual effects and things. And this isn't that movie.
If you're expecting like a movie like The Town,
Yeah,
this is not
at all.
This is not The Town.
In fact, one of the biggest bank robberies that happens, they don't even show it. They show the aftermath. You don't even see.
Which I like.
Yeah, the aftermath was more interesting than seeing it actually happen.
And I bet they probably did that because of production restraints. Like,
maybe, yeah.
I mean, they probably didn't have it. I mean, if it only made 17 million, I'm assuming they shot it pretty quickly. And yeah, I bet that was a cool way to not show it, but show it. I really like that. And Mr. Glover takes a bullet.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to share before we wrap this up?
No, I just really liked it. If you like older movies, you'll love it. If you're a film geek, you'll love it. If you're a Robert Redford fan, you'll love it.
And if you just want like especially, I mean, we're recording this in the wintertime, like just sitting down on a Friday night, Saturday night, kids are in bed or whatever, your homework's done, whatever you got, and you're just like, I just want to sit down and just.
It's a nice cozy movie.
Slow down and just slide into another film, like another universe for a minute. It's good. It's good for that.
It's really good. I agree.
As always, hit me up on the Twitters if you want to interact with the great Popcorn Priest at Popcorn Priest. I respond to every tweet. And also look up Angry Dane at angrydane.com. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's the one.
And check out his work. He's awesome, and I'll shamelessly plug him as well. And I'm not going to tease what's coming up next week because I didn't look it up. So,
all right. Just surprises are nice. It's Christmas time.
It's Christmas. Yeah, it's a surprise. Come back and see what's going on every Thursday. I release episodes every Thursday. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at the movies.